Welcome to the Impact Zone podcast. We are back to talk more TNA wrestling and Impact Wrestling shenanigans here. This is the first of our new video-based podcast. So welcome and hello to you on this new podcast. In video form. And if you're new here to this new channel, which makes 100% sense, please do subscribe, help us out, help us grow this channel so that we can bring you more great Impact TNA wrestling content. And today we are going to be having a review of the 15th of February TNA Impact show. A fair bit on this show that wasn't actually previewed, but they did preview most of the more major stuff, I guess, for the most part, and whatnot. But anyway, we will go through what actually happened. So first off on the show for today was Jake Something and Kazarian. When they were doing some of these matches on Explosion with Jake Something, I felt like he was going to sustain a loss to Kazarian because it often feels like that you're giving people wins on other shows to protect them and keep them from falling down. And certainly the match ending added to that. Jake Something has a bright future in the company. I'm not his biggest fan, I suppose. I think he's got a little bit of a way to go to being one of the top guys in the company. I don't specifically know what he kind of needs to get there. He's very close to being up there, though, I certainly think. But maybe another year of grinding it out. I certainly think that he can be something. I'm not one of those people who don't think he can be something. I just think that he needs a little bit more work and refinement. He's certainly very athletic and very strong and has a lot going for him character-wise as well. So I do see what he brings to the table. I really liked some of his comedy stuff with Dina and whatnot, and some of the work that he did feuding with Dina as well. But I still don't really see him being one of the top guys quite yet. He's almost there. He's right on the cusp of it. And that, so yeah, but whatever. The way, as I said, the match progressed was pretty good. Jake Something overpowering Kazarian using, heel tactics or smart tactics to sort of, get the advantages and whatnot. The roll-up pin and Kazarian holding the ropes for extra leverage so that Jake couldn't kick out. Letting Kaz get an important win that he needed, but yet protecting Jake Something to make sure he doesn't look weak or whatever, and again giving him extra wins and whatnot on the previous Explosions. Making sure, again, he's protected and he's going to keep in there in the mix because, again, he needs to grow and develop and that sort of thing. I think, obviously, I think a lot of people, when I was looking at this as a preview match, I was thinking, yeah, Kazarian's probably going to win. He's going to have an uphill battle in winning this, so he's going to have to cheat to win or he's going to have to do something sneaky to win. So yeah, it wasn't a 10-star match or anything like that, obviously, but that's not what you need every week, and that's what I think some people kind of forget. Just having a decently good match every week is just perfectly fine, and then having those absolute show stealers when you need to have them is good, because this was still a really good match. It's a solid match, but it wasn't anything super amazing. It was just solid work from both of these guys out there, and I did enjoy it, certainly. And I kind of can't wait to see what happens next. I think that it's funny that Eric Young challenged Kazarian for next week's TV, so we'll be previewing that at some point soon here on the channel and whatnot. So again, be sure to subscribe to get that upcoming video and more content here on the YouTube podcast and whatnot. But yeah, like I can kind of see like Kazarian having a potentially good run here as a decent heel for a while. The problem is, like, again, the top guy right now in the division is a heel, so Kazarian's going to be not really anywhere near that title for a good 6 months to a year. So they need something for him for another 6 months, like another feud. Because, like, the EY feud, like, if they're going... I don't think they're going to blow it off next week. I think that's the start of it, in my opinion, and I feel like it should go to No Surrender, at least in some sort of match. And even then, I don't think it's going to be over. Like the Eddie Edwards match, the feud there didn't end in a few matches. They kind of stretched it out a little bit too much, but like everything that they did was good, and I enjoyed it. So yeah, like I'm just sort of thinking where they're going and what they're trying to do with it and that kind of thing from that perspective. Because you can see some things sort of coming from a mile away, but like sometimes they just don't do something, or they do something sort of unexpected or whatever and that sort of thing. So I hope they don't blow off EY and Kaz next week, because like that's like a good couple of months of storytelling, and you need more storytelling for Kaz so that he can be like kept away from the title as long as possible, until there's a good baby face for him to go up against, because he's heel right now. So there's no point in him even like looking at the title unless you're not going to actually give him a title run. So I don't know, but yeah, Kazarian defeated Jake something here, and we can see the footage of EY reacting after the match and, you know, challenging him. Savannah Evans and Jordynne Grace. This one I enjoyed because Savannah looked like an absolute beast in this one. She also looked like an absolute beast in her tag team match with Trinity and Shaw. And this is the best that she's looked like ever in the ring, as far as what I've seen. Like, I've only seen her in TNA, so if you've seen her elsewhere and do similar things and whatnot, cool story. That's nice. I'm glad that she's like as far as what I've seen, improved. So yeah, I really want to praise her up. I think we'll praise her up a few more times here and there, but it is worth saying, hey, she did a really good job out there, you know, in looking strong. Like, she lost to the Muscle Buster, but whatever. Like, having a good showing and looking strong, looking confident, and looking like you know what you're doing and where you're going and everything that's going on, not like looking like a deer in the headlights and just sort of standing there and going, oh, what do I do next? Or should I do this, or should I not do this, or whatever. Like, sometimes that happens, like it happened to Trinity in the Royal Rumble, like when Jordynne, like, maybe was, like, doing her spots, but, like, you should have realized that immediately and been like, oh, but this is the next spot, but, oh, well, she's not ready, so... oh, but this is the next spot, but she's not ready, so I'm just going to do something else. I can see that she's not going to be ready for a few moments, so I'll do something else. She should have made that decision, like, on the fly before, like she did. She should have made it more instantaneous and sort of just done something and then turned around to face, you know, Grace or whatever. But still, anyway, I do kind of halfway want to do a retrospective on Trinity and TNA at some point or something. So maybe I will. We'll have to wait and see about that. She had a good run, I think, and I actually feel like she put the wrong person over in a lot of ways. I think that's just me. I'm not too sure, but then again, it is what it is, and but maybe that was her schedule, and I guess that she really wanted to have a match with Grace. I think they could have perhaps booked it better, so that Shaw is the champion, but then again, you wouldn't have Jordan in the Rumble, um, as the champion, but then you could have still done something. I don't know. It's just one of those things that it's tough to book, I guess. So hindsight is 2020. So, but it just means that Shaw's I think we say this, is probably losing in her title match. So, but it would be nice to dream. But there's just like unless Ash by Elegance, I think Ash by Elegance is actually kind of a heel, from the promo that we kind of saw. But like, even though she's a heel, I don't think that she's getting a title shot very quickly. And like, I don't know that there's that many other really good heels. Like maybe Tasha Steelz, but that's about it. Like, besides Shaw, there's hardly anyone in that division that really stands out as a top heel. So she's gonna blow through challengers very quickly, if not immediately. And we've seen Shaw and Grace 30 times. Oh, not Shaw. Tasha. I'll get there. I'll remember her name one of these days. 30 times or whatever. Not that you can't do it again, but we've seen it a lot, so it's well, we know the outcome there probably pretty much. So, that's a bit shitty, but we pretty much know the outcome of this one at the moment too. But yeah, the outcome of this one was pretty well determined as well. So, but the problem here with the women's division is going forward. If they go forward with Grace, honestly, I just don't see where they're going, because there's just no one to really challenge her unless they're going to bring in Max the Impaler and people like that again or whatever, just bringing in outside heels to face her, which just have no real credibility in lots of ways because we know they're not sticking around, so we know they're losing. So that doesn't really work. And you can't hotshot somebody, so I don't know. I think honestly putting the title on Shaw is better because you can just do so much more in storytelling. But anyway, it was a good match. I think the finish was a little bit lax, but whatever. Ash by Elegance, her interview segment, we were just talking about her. It seems like she's a heel, and whatnot, just by the way Iceman kind of introduced her and talked her up and hyped her up and all that kind of stuff. So she's going to have her debut match next week. So, I'm not sure who that's going to be against. Probably some local jobber of some description, to make her look like a boss bitch or whatever or whatnot. I don't know. But yeah, that's where I see that going. I don't see her challenging for the title for a good couple of months at least, unless it's just on TV, because she hasn't racked up enough wins. Xia Brookside too, it feels like they almost are having a feud with Tasha and Brookside, so I feel Brookside won one, Tasha's won one, best of 3 time for them. So, but yeah, where's Brookside gonna wind up? I feel like she has to lose to Tasha again, because even though I said, we've seen Grace and Tasha 30 times or whatever, we just need more heels for Grace to sort of, wrestle with. So just having that again and having it again after a long period of time, pretty good, I guess. The sound check with Alan Angels interviewing Simon Gotch. This was good. Like, I enjoyed this because, like, I think I had a lot of preconceived notions about Simon Gotch coming into TNA and what I expected from him in TNA and perhaps what I expected from a match between him and Josh or a feud with him and Josh. Like, I didn't expect what they gave us. Like, so that the details and whatnot that they've kind of brought out and the lore that they've kind of brought out is freaking amazing, and I think it deserves like lot of praise because like when you're like a long-term wrestling fan, if you're getting this kind of level of, oh yeah, we're going to nod to the past and we know that this happened and we know the fans, or some of the fans at least know this happened, so we're going to pay those, loyal fans off for knowing that this is a thing. I didn't know this was a thing. So I know that there are some fans that knew this was a thing. So for those fans who were saying, oh, they're going to revisit this feud that they were doing, blah, 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 they knew, they were hyped for it and they were ready for it. They were like, oh, we know where this is going because these guys wrestled, blah, 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 or whatever, years ago. So, but I didn't. So, like, the way the way they presented this in that way to, pay off a story, pay off something, for the fans who are real like real indie fans, and, pay off this story of kind of like, or build this feud between these two, because, like, that was where I was just being like, oh, so what? Like, he attacks this guy, Josh and him are going to have a match at some point, somewhere, probably on TV. It's probably going to be 5 minutes, and Josh is going to squash this guy. I had no interest in Gotch, and had no thought that Gotch would be any credible threat or anything. I still don't think he's that credible of a threat, but still, like, giving him this context and giving him this story and giving him this feud, which is real and legit and has that part behind it, which helps it out. It's not real. Obviously, we all know that. We know this is a work. We know this is a story. But giving it that real context and whatnot really helps build feuds, because that's what people want to see. They want to see something that's real, but with the volume turned up to 10. Like, this is real with the volume turned up to 10. And it's going to be a decently good wrestling match for 10, 15 minutes or whatever. Maybe more, I don't know. But, like I still expect Alexander to probably win. Perhaps Alan Angels will get involved. Not 100% sure. Like, maybe. I kind of can see that, like I've talked about it, them having more matches. And you, like, again, like, this is kind of like where I was with Moose before. Like, I'm like going, Josh needs something, a small feud to sort of tide him over for a little while before he challenges Moose and whatever, and moves on or whatever, or does something else. This could have been after Moose, but, like, being before Moose does help because it gives him something to do up till Moose. But you always need those things. You always need those things to fill the gaps. And that's the problem with Moose's title reign. We know he's lost to Josh, and he's the top guy in TNA. So it's just like, well, those two have to have a match sooner rather than later. But giving them both something, to sink their teeth into is important as well. So this is something good that Josh will sink his teeth into. The best of 3. I already predicted that ABC were going to win this one, and I was right. This was a heck of a match. I think that this was probably the match of the night for me. Like, tag team wrestling done well and done properly can main event any show at any time. This was done really well. I think that like the third match is going to be very good. Like despite me thinking like I know who's going to win, or I think I know who's going to win, or I feel like I know who's going to win. It's like, well, at least I want to see the match because they've had two really good matches so far, and the third one's just going to be like their best one, obviously, because everything's on the line and it's a do or die time, and we'll wait and see how that does pan out. But you know, like these guys, I wish, I hope, I pray, whatever else, that GYV sticks around. We need them in our tag team division because we just need more tag teams in this division. In a way, it would be nice for them to hold the titles in some way, but I just don't see it because I kind of see that they're not positioned to be, per se, really the face of that tag team division right at this moment. When they could be the face of the tag team division is incredibly hard to say because you're looking at guys in the system, as I sort of said. I think that they're probably the guys to be the faces of the division, while ABC are the faces of the division, while the system is the guys that they're trying to hunt down, really. And since you've already had two matches with the GYV and ABC, people are kind of going to be sick of it. So if the grizzled young veterans win, it's like, well, what's the point? Because you've already had three matches, you're going to have another one, you know, and then are you going to have another one in like 4 to 6 months or whatever it is? I don't know. Probably not. That doesn't make any sense. So it just doesn't work out well for these guys in winning already. Like, so it's already really up against them in this scenario. It just doesn't bode well for them in being crowned the champions and that sort of thing. So like they could surprise us. They could surprise us, but I don't particularly see it. But they're very good wrestlers, so I can't wait to see the third and final match. Like this is one of those things. Nigh on every time that any best of three match always goes to the third thing. Like best of three falls goes to the third thing. Always, pretty much always, because like there's no point in saying, oh, we're going to have three matches or we're going to have three falls, unless you're going to use all three of those matches or all three of those falls. It's not a way that the story of like these matches plays out. You're not going to tell people, oh yeah, we're going to have these two fairly irrelevant matches, but they're going to be good and they're going to tell a story and it is worth turning in on TV to see them, but the ultimate payoff is on pay-per-view. That's fine, because like the real loyal fans will be watching anyway and whatnot, and will enjoy some very good action, and the people who don't will miss out on some very good action, but then they might see the third and deciding one at least. But yeah, like, and they'll have caught up by then as well. So, but yeah, it's one of those things. Oleg Prudius and Dango having a little promo. I'm not sure 100% where this is like leading right now, so we'll have to keep waiting and seeing on where that's sort of leading. Mustafa Ali had a promo, I guess, and then the Good Hands had a bit of a promo where Sabin kind of walked in on it, and they had a bit of a tussle or whatever backstage and whatnot. All right segment in total, because that's really the same segment and whatnot, building up that match. Not my favorite way to build this match up, but still something different, something unique. It's kind of almost like they should have done this with the digital media title. Like, I don't know, but like this is the sort of stuff that if you put it on YouTube and things like that, like putting things like this together, it would work really well for the digital media title. So I think that they should invest more in doing things like that on YouTube and things like that, or whatever. But still, like, yeah, it'll be an interesting, good match to watch. Crazy Steve and Rhino here. I almost felt like this match should have been on perhaps the pre-show. They've been building it up for weeks, like, so, but whatever, they just paid it off here, which I don't know that that's that good, because it's like, well, Steve needs more challengers in the division. Like, I'm kind of interested with what's going on with Joe Hendry and AJ Francis as well. They're kind of in this division, so I could almost see like Crazy Steve and Joe Hendry having a match at some point, maybe soon. Don't know. Probably after the Francis thing. So after No Surrender and maybe even Sacrifice. Not 100% sure. But where does Steve go from here? Like, I don't think that Tommy Dreamer's coming back for another match, but I don't know. So I just don't see it. So I don't know. I almost feel like, again, that they should be doing more with Steve. Like, he could just have a like random challenger or something. Like, he could be challenged by Matt Cardona, or he could be challenged by somebody else at the event, maybe on the pre-show. I don't know. But yeah, like, when you pay something off on TV, like, it's all right, but you really should at least try to push it to the pay-per-view or the PLE, or even like the PLE pre-show, because then at least it's like you can start a new story going from there. Now you've got to start a new story going from, like 1 week out from the premium PLE, and then like where is that going to go after that? Unless you're not going to have Steve on the PLE, which feels bad. I think you should. But yeah, Steve getting the win here, like, was obviously the right call. Like, again, like, same like with Jake something, Rhino getting those wins on Explosion. And I think Explosion giving wins to people is necessary thing, and that's an alright thing to do, but also you need the story there for those things. Like, I think that Rhino's second match, which was with Champagne Singh, had a bit of that story where Steve attacked Rhino after the match, etc., to set up the match that they have had. The first match didn't have much of that, where he was facing Shearer, which I felt like they should have had a little bit more story, so that you've got a reason why Steve's like biding his time, he's not attacking him, he's not doing anything, and then you sort of see him attack him this week or whatever, or like lurking or whatever. Like, I don't know, you don't want to foreshadow things too much, but you kind of want to like have that threat there sometimes, so that you're like, oh, is he going to attack me? Isn't he going to attack me? What's he going to do? Like, he's a crazy man. I don't know what he's going to do. He could do anything. So, but yeah, like, where does Steve go from here? I don't know. It's tough to say. Like, that's the problem of, like, as I said, finishing this up. And maybe it's not finished up, but it feels like finished up because it's pretty clear cut who won. Even though it was like in a cheating way. Maybe they could have a hardcore match of some sort. But whatever. I have no real desire to see it, so maybe it will end up on the pre-show, so that it doesn't take up too much time from everything else that actually is important, whereas this wouldn't be important because, like, there's not enough real build behind, like, something like this. But anyway, it is what it is, and we can see that happening here. Dina versus Hendry was a match that didn't really happen. Basically, AJ Francis came out and, attacked Hendry after, Francis mocked Hendry and whatnot, and then Joe fired back with a video of his own, which was pretty amazing, pretty phenomenal. If you know, you know. But he basically mocked him with the AJ Styles, the old AJ Styles theme music, because he's AJ and AJ Styles, AJ Francis, blah blah blah. That connection. So they did that. That was really, really funny. And that's the thing about funny. Like I find that if you're doing something funny, you've got to have story reason to do it, not just, oh haha, it's funny. No, it's funny, but here's the next step in this feud. Even though this bit was funny for the audience, it wasn't funny for one of the, or both of the, or well, at least Hendry sort of shrugged off AJ Francis's taunt or whatever that he did with his video package, with a video package of his own, but still he got some, barbs in there, and he got some stuff in there, and he did chokeslam him at the end of this segment again. So again, there's that to consider with this. So, and I guess they just didn't have enough time for these guys to have an actual match. It's not a match that I don't think many people really cared about seeing anyway. You pretty much know the result anyway, even so. So it's not a match that's that important to really see. Because Hendry was going to win, obviously. So yeah, because he's an up and comer. He's probably going to be in the world title picture very soon. I'd love to see him and Moose, because he already beat Moose in the digital media title space. But I'd love to see him and Moose run it back and do some more stuff, because he's just such a great babyface. He certainly won't be doing it for a couple of months, but still, that's fine. I think Moose has got a lot of good baby faces to sort of go against, whereas somebody that's like Hendry doesn't have a lot of amazing heels that much to go against, a lot of legitimized heels at least anyway. But anyway, this was a fun segment. I actually, I will say as well, I wasn't very hyped on AJ Francis or Top Dollar, to some people who don't know who the heck he is, or what his new name is, outside of WWE and whatnot. But he's impressed me with his promos and whatnot. I want to see him in a proper match. He's going to have one with Joe Hendry, obviously at some point, probably at No Surrender here, maybe at Sacrifice. I don't know. They might build it a little bit longer. I don't know. But still, I still like everything that he's been doing thus far. Getting out there and whatnot, and being giving, not just having a segment that's all about you. Yes, it's all about you, but it's all about the feud that you have with your opponent. So they have to get some shine too. And Francis or Dollar has a pretty, not the biggest name, but a pretty big name. Even though some people are not the biggest fans of him. I haven't seen him wrestle or anything, so I don't know how big of a fan I'm going to be of his. But I guess he's a fairly powerful guy, so I'm guessing he's going to do a lot of power moves and stuff like that. Hendry does a lot of power moves, but obviously he's going to be outpowered in this match and in this feud, so it's going to be an interesting one. I think it was outpowered against Moose and a few other people and whatnot, so you have seen that dynamic here and there. But it's always interesting, I guess, when you're usually a powerhouse to fight another powerhouse. Now, do you change your game plan, or do you try to stick with it? And how do you adapt, or whatever, and that sort of thing. So I kind of can't wait now to see these two blow off their feud. I don't know how long Francis or Dollar is sticking in TNA, but I'd like to see him stick around now because he feels like he does belong in there. Like, as long as he can deliver in the ring, we'll wait and see on that. Like, as I say, I haven't seen him wrestle in WWE or NXT or anything like that, so I'm oblivious to his previous work. So I'm going to be purely judging him, like, on what he does at whatever time that he has his match. So, that is that, and I am hyped for it. They're obviously, again, building stuff between Macklin and Nemeth. I don't know whether they're going to have a tag match at some point soon, but it almost feels like they are. Certainly Trent Seven's having a match this upcoming week with Macklin. I don't see him winning that match, but, anything's possible, I guess, really. But I think Macklin needs the momentum. Certainly, he could also get some momentum on Explosion through some wins there, but he certainly needs more momentum since he's probably going to be losing to Nemeth at some point, probably Sacrifice, I feel like. And that because they're I feel like they are going to stretch this out a bit, have a 3-man tag, have him tag with the Rascals, and have Nemeth tag with Seven and Bailey. At least at some point. Maybe that's going to be on TV, but it's certainly not happening next week. So it's certainly going to be happening at some point soon. But that certainly feels like a match that you could have on either the pay-per-view or PLE, or even on the pre-show. So yeah. Killer Kelly and Danny Luna with Slamovich and Dirty Threat in their corners. I was surprised Danny Luna won here. And that. So, yeah. But I guess they're trying to build this into, like, some sort of more legitimate tag team. Almost feel like they might even say that this is a triple threat tag team match now. I don't know, but I don't feel like they should, but they might. I don't know, like, it is announced for the P-show, but you could almost see it being moved to the pre-show. They've moved a lot of these women's tag team matches to the pre-show, so it is what it is sometimes. But it was kind of thought of as kind of almost a fluke win, but it did look like Danny was pretty strong through this match. And then Rosemary and Havoc turned up at the end to sort of cause the heels in MK Ultra to flee and to sort of size up the competition of Danny Luna and Jody Threat. So, yeah. And we've got this official, here it is, the graphic for Gotch and Alexander. So we've already talked about that, so I'm not going to really talk about that, but there's the graphic for it. Lastly, the main event of the evening, Moose and Kushida. I'm glad that Kushida, is getting back in there in the main event. He lost this one, but he lost in strong style, I guess. He looked good in this match. Moose actually looked really good. Again, the whole attack his arm strategy was seemingly the strategy here, which was the strategy that Sabin employed in the first match. It's probably going to be the same in the next match that they're going to have at No Surrender. So we'll wait to see that. The problem I have with Moose in not his wrestling, I guess, is that he doesn't really have a submission per se. So what submission is Moose going to have for this you know, throw in the towel match effectively. That's what I'm wondering. But yeah, like between these two, like not everyone was banned from ringside, which sort of made it fair. But um, you know, the numbers game came into play after the match, which set up the baby faces to come in and make the save. Um, yeah, like I remember Steve Kushida and Steve Macklin being really good. I thought it was longer than what it was. This was pretty good as well. I don't think it was quite as good as Macklin and Kushida was, but I still think that it was pretty good. Um, um, yeah, and I kind of still want to see Kushida and Alexander at some point, just because we were kind of robbed of it. Um, you know, so I still kind of want to see that. The winner here was again pretty obvious. Moose needed to win, um, and that so it sucks when some things are predictable. But then again, the thing is like you don't always have to have things not be like unpredictable like this. You need some things to be predictable because like that's what people go mad about is when like things don't make sense. Like make it make sense and that sort of thing. Don't drag it out and then go, oh shit, we should have done this or should have done that at this time, and then move on from there. But like it's one of those things. Like it's tough to always do it. So, but Kushida being one of the top guys now in TNA, he's challenged for the world title a couple of times, or at least, yeah. And I could see him winning the X Division Championship some point down the road, very soon even, maybe after Saban's lost it and somebody else has held it for a few months or whatever. I could see him winning that and having a decent run as X Division champion. I could see him as a future world champion, certainly, because he's been in that light before. I could almost see it after that, though. So, yeah, I definitely want to see more of Kushida. If you watch some of the highlights of this match, when they're like, I think they're on the ad break, they sort of do slow down a little bit and go to the outside and do a little bit more stuff, like that kind of thing. Yeah, but I feel like it's still not bad. It's never like a dead period. It's just sort of one of those things like the fans will kind of get the ebb and flow of matches anyway. So that's just the ebb and flow of matches. Like it's not always the way, but they are smart in the way they structure it, so that when they structure it to have the ads on when the match is kind of at a lull, as well, so that they can get that match to sort of get back on track once the ads are over and not really lose a lot of that action, especially when they're doing picture-in-picture, which is something that I am very grateful of, because I don't like, even though it's like a lull in the match, I like to see how things evolve and how things change in the match and how they get from A to B to C to D to, E to F to G to X to Y to J, whatever. Like, I don't like to miss things in the match because you've missed a lot of psychology in getting from where they were to where they are now. So, yeah, just being able to see that stuff, is really, really useful and just, like, again, just helps out the whole presentation of these matches and feuds and things going forward. But overall, this show is extremely solid. It's one of those shows that, next week's show is going to be probably more interesting because it's the go-home show, so... but they're like building towards that go-home show and whatnot, and No Surrender, so not every match is going to be the top of the top of the top, but you're going to get some really great stuff in there and some good storytelling, and that's what you need. You need all of these stories building to those matches and what's going on and where and that sort of thing. So yeah, very, very enjoyable show. I enjoyed like last week's show. I enjoy every show like on some level. Some shows are better than others. Some shows have a real lull in them, and you can kind of feel like, wow, this didn't really work out, or why did they do this, or whatever. Like, I don't know why they scheduled like the match between Dina and Hendry, but I guess it's fine. I don't really care. That was probably the only thing. Like, having a segment between Hendry and Francis was the goal there, so that they can build that story up to the match. Perfectly fine with that. And like, again, as I say, you're not missing out on hardly anything. And even if you are missing out on something, it's like, well, it's even if you are missing out on something, it's like, well, whatever. We'll see it at some point, and Hendry will win. So it is what it is. But those are my thoughts on the show for the 15th of February 2024 Impact. You guys, as always, can let me know what you guys think. Write your thoughts down there in the comments below, and tell me also what you think of the new video podcast. Are you digging it? You can also check out our audio podcast. It's in the description there, and whatnot. Also, if you're listening to the podcast, audio podcast, you can check out our YouTube videos. Links will be in the description. Hope you've enjoyed one way or the other, and hope you will join me again in the next one.